Bum 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 bum
Oh,
bum.
oh, oh,
Bum bum
oh,
bum
oh,
bum
oh,
bum.
oh. And then didn't. Oh, good morning. I just noticed the live marker. So, hi. Good morning.
Hi. Good
Welcome
morning.
to another lovely Sunday morning. Today you have two corners in this here Speaker's Corner. I am Jeff Wheeler, and I am here under the shadow of the Gold Dome in lovely and illustrious downtown Atlanta, Georgia. I have with me my most astuted, earphoned co-host at Michelle Lynch there in Gainesville, Florida. Say good morning, Michelle.
Good morning. I just noticed we didn't have our thirds up, so I'm going to go
Oh
ahead
no!
and put my thirds up.
Seriously, we need
Amateur
to
hour.
remember better things. Okay, so now that I am there, are you there?
I'm
Are you
getting
there yet?
there. I'm
Are you
there.
there? Ah, now it is there. Excellent. So we have an action-packed show for you this morning. I mean, we have so many wonderful things that you just should not wait to. You actually should probably turn this on at times and a half so that you can get right to the meat, because it is going to be that meaty. I mean, we are seriously
Ooh.
carnivores today with the amount of meat that we have available. I mean, arr,
Rawr.
arr, rawr.
Rawr.
Okay, so really in today's world, there are some things that sadden me, and there is very few things that sadden me any more than NASA. Effectively, we have no rockets that go to space right now. We have no program to put mass into space directly with our own energies, our own programs as these United States of America.
Is it
And
not the
that, to
final
me,
frontier? Space. The final
final
frontier.
frontier. It is, and these are the voyages of the Speaker's Corner. No, I'm just kidding. So it saddens me greatly that we do not have an effective space program at this particular moment as the United States. And I was reading up in preparation for today's show, and I think I might have figured out why we do not have an active space program.
Money. No.
Well, I
Because
mean, we spend money on dumb things all the time. And this is one of the most popular dumb things, is the space program, right?
that's true. It's popular. I don't know if it was so dumb. Tell me why the space? Because in Florida, we're quite attached to the space program down here. You grow up with it. You grow up seeing the rockets go up in the air and hearing the booms. So for me, I'd love to know why. Why do you think that NASA?
So in reading up, I found out that in 1960, approximately, Hillary Clinton wrote a letter to NASA telling them that she wanted to be an astronaut.
Oh, right on.
And NASA wrote back a letter that says, "We don't take girls."
What?
In 1960, that was kind of a thing, right? You got to remember, this is the Mad Men era, right? This is the time when everybody would have 2 martini lunches, and misogyny was everywhere, right? It was a standard practice, was misogyny, right? So, that being said, I think that there has been a underlying animosity from Hillary Clinton, and she's used up her political capital while she was in the State Department to ensure that NASA got defunded, that she was working back alley deals to stick it to those guys at NASA, because she strikes me as the kind who would do everything that she can to cut down the throats of NASA.
I cannot deny this. It is an interesting theory. She
It's
had
totally
the
a
power
theory
and the
based in
time.
no reality whatsoever. And as we've always said on this show, never believe anything you hear on this show unless you have corroborated it for yourself or you already know it to be true.
Absolutely. We only just Google things, really. So.
No, but it's really food. It's the Google food that we have that really makes it magical. And the fact that we bring it to our audience to say things. And you can't Google all these things in years and years from now. And so whenever I watch 5-year-old shows, because we've been doing this a while.
We're good curators of the news.
That's right.
Yes, yes. Speaking of NASA, I do know of someone that has dreams of still being a NASA, I would assume has dreams of still being a NASA astronaut, but those dreams may have gotten a reality check by the school system. I am talking about Ahmed Muhammad.
Ahmed Muhammad. Explain.
Yes. This is a young man who went into his school, and he had told his teacher, his engineering teacher, ahead of time that he was going to do this, but his English teacher all of a sudden saw that he had a device that had numbers and wires, and it was counting down or counting something. And of course, because that's what you think of when you think of a 14-year-old boy wearing a NASA shirt who probably makes pretty good grades, you think bomb.
I guess.
Well, this school thought bomb. And they thought bomb so much that they decided they were going to take the little bomb away from the kid. Not try and defuse it, because it wasn't a bomb. And then handcuff the kid, take him off school property, and then suspend him.
So effectively, this is a Heath kit, right? In the 60s and 70s, Heath, which is a company that just made electronics, made these very simple circuit boards that let you build your own clock. And it was a standard thing that kids would do when they were young. They would solder on their own components with resistors and capacitors and microchips and LEDs and all these kinds of things to make simple electronic devices, such as an alarm clock.
This is why Radio Shack is still a thing.
When I was maybe 8 or 9, my dad and I sat down with a Heath kit and made the alarm clock that woke me up every single morning whenever I was in middle school, in high school, and even into college for a little while. Now, it wasn't a perfect alarm clock, but I actually kind of liked that a little better. So whenever it went off, it didn't go ee, ee, ee. It went ee, ee, ee,
Okay.
And it was always quivering and always hitting a different note. So
whereas I found
that if I had the typical alarm clock that rang the bells or whatnot, I would just have dreams about how that was a fire engine, right? Because it was consistent and reliable and you knew what was going on. And so then the first couple times that it happened, I would have a dream and the fire engine would be speeding up and slowing down and going all over the place. And I'm like, that's not
weird.
Real. There's something going on here. I must wake up and find out what it is. So the alarm clock that I made with my father's help, that we soldered components onto a board and made the thing, it appears to be, by my Google foo, very similar to what Ahmed made, where it was a very simple device that was able to tell time, and it was a personal project for him, and it looks nothing like a bomb. Where are the frickin' explosives? It's a board with some wires coming off of it and a time on there.
Yeah.
But we have these zero tolerance policies that we promulgate through schools, which means that nobody gets to think anymore.
Yes. And my what are they doing with this teacher that whose knee-jerk reaction? Can she go to sensitivity training? Can she be fired? Any of the above?
Can we just send her to McDonald's to flip burgers?
Yeah, I mean,
and I say her. I don't know if it's a her. That's an assumptive on whether or not it's a female or a male. Not all teachers are women. Not all nurses are women.
I thought it was a woman that did report it, though.
It's possible. It's likely, actually, statistically speaking.
Right.
I don't
statistically speaking, but yeah. So the saga of Ahmed Muhammad will continue. He has been invited to the White House. He has been given accolades by Zuckerberg, and invited.
Microsoft sent him thousands of dollars worth of stuff to play with.
Ah, nice, good. The PR people are jumping on it. I love it.
Oh yeah.
I love it. And
because that's the kind of thing that we as a society need to do, is celebrate people who are doing that, and not
raise them up.
That's right. Raise them up, because that's the kind of thing that we really want to be going on. Oh, so it was actually in a box, in an old suitcase or something.
Right. Yeah, it's in a little suitcase. I'm looking at it, and the teacher has come back to say that it's more of a distraction. She felt.
A distraction.
Boy, school. Let me tell you something. You just need to zip it at this point. Like, don't dig yourself deeper.
That's right.
Just admit that you messed up.
That's right.
And then take your lickings.
Yeah, and you just go, we're going to make the best of this from this point forward now that we know what it is. That's it. That's all you can. That's all you can do. Speaking of making the best of it now that these things are, wait, is that really even a segue? I don't think it is. So in the, I try and pay attention to the polls, try and pay attention to the political ramblings and gamblings. And since we brought up Clinton earlier, I just wanted to mention that she is precipitously falling in the polls. There are two people that are taking over the political will, that are taking over the discourse in the Democratic election. One being Bernie Sanders, who has a message from the far left and has plenty of money that he does not really have to be in bed with political power players.
He is independently wealthy, right?
He is very much independently wealthy. Right. And so he has been running strong in the polls and gaining ground. The other is Joe Biden, who has not actually even announced his candidacy. So without announcing, with one guy that is, by all accounts, way far left of a traditionally electable position, and another candidate who has not even announced, both of which are rising in the polls, and Hillary Clinton is falling in the polls. Is that something that's really stating that Hillary Clinton's political candidacy is fairly dead? And that anybody who comes in that has a strong message will resoundingly take over her position?
I think that's the point right there. I think she does not have a strong message.
She doesn't.
She's in bed with other people, so she can't have a strong message. She's already got all the politics, which so does Biden. But Biden would have that as well. But I feel like
everybody expects Biden to step on his penis from time to time. They expect him to do something silly from time to time.
Right.
And if you support a Biden candidacy, you expect that.
Which I do, and I do.
Okay.
I hate to say it would be weird to see Biden and Hillary on a ticket.
Yeah. Well, who would be at the top?
That's why it would be weird. Have we had vice presidents serve twice? Can they do that? Do they have term limits on the VP?
No.
It's only term limits on the president, right?
Correct.
Fascinating. So I don't think we've ever had. I wish we had some of our more historical correspondents here with us.
Apparently Frank is trying to join.
I see. Let's try and give Frank some love here. While I'm giving Frank some love.
So I don't know if Biden would run as a but wouldn't it make a stronger candidacy if he was at the top of the ticket? Because he does have the experience to do those things, right? He has been in that. And it's typical to have a vice president move up to president, right? Mm-hmm. But I don't think that there's any way that Hillary Clinton would play second fiddle to Joe Biden.
Correct. But I could see Hillary being president and Biden possibly going on again for vice presidency. Now, would I like it? No, I still wouldn't vote for them, so that's probably not the best bet. Because Michelle would not vote. No.
I think we have the new joiner. Is this a third corner, the speaker's corner? Say good morning, Frank.
I'm thinking I'm going to go for Bernie.
You're going to go Bernie?
Bernie. All the way, baby.
No, dude, you should elect D's nuts.
D's nuts.
D's nuts. Because he is a strong candidate.
If any of us were independently wealthy, I'd totally use the speaker's corner as a platform to announce candidacy.
Would you?
Yes.
I just don't have the money to do it on my own.
Yeah, I don't either.
I don't have the money to do it on my own. So, but even if Hillary Clinton does lose the presidential race that she is currently imparting or currently emblazoned in, she still has an award that none of us have. Hillary Clinton has a Grammy. Did you know that, Frank? Did you know that Hillary Clinton has a Grammy?
No, I did not know that.
Hillary Clinton, in 1997, won a Grammy. Hillary Clinton
she was the
a Grammy in 1997. What's that?
Yes, that's right, Frank. Say it again.
Beyonce got kicked her out of the group because they had some tiffs.
Of what?
Destiny's Child.
She was not in Destiny's Child. But in 1997, she won a Grammy for Best Spoken Word Album for the audio of her book, It Takes a Village. Which I would propose was the first step in her run for a presidential candidacy, whom she lost to Barack Obama in 2008.
Yep.
Which actually, I'm seeing a picture of her on the CNN debate between her and Barack Obama, and Barack Obama is a whole different man when he was running than what he looks like now.
Oh, the presidency does things to guys. Oh, it's so... Oh, they become silver-haired foxes, I'll say.
I'll guess, but there is a lot of stress that goes on with the office of the president. There is a lot of stress.
I would not want. Yeah, I agree. It is not something that I don't take it lightly in electing somebody to that position because it's so stressful and it's things that I would not want to have to deal with. I don't want to have to pull plugs on people's lives.
That's right. And to a certain extent, that's what you have to do.
Yes. Yes.
And I don't want a guy like Mike Huckabee who's sweating on the stage whenever people are asking him questions, much less, having him be the guy that pulls the plug on folks.
I mean, we part of the reason why Obama, for me at least, was such a good option was that he was eloquent, and I had been
smooth in the face of roughness.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right. So, who is on top? Who's
I'm not really there, but I think Bernie Sanders may come out on top of this entire endeavor.
Why is that?
I just think that he has the momentum and does not have to play the game, and it feels strongly that our electorate is looking for an outside candidate this time around. And because there are so many Republican debates going on right now, and there's so much strength in the electorate for an outside, non-presumptive candidate, right? All of the strength on the Republican side is in non.
Uh-oh, we may have lost our illustrious co-host here, Jeff. We'll see if he is on his way back. We still have Frank coming. I still see him in his corner of the earth. Jeff, come back to us. We miss you already. Well, Jeff was talking about...
Am I back?
You are back.
All right. I don't know what happened to the internet.
I see voice. I don't see face.
Okay, it'll come back in a second.
Hey, all right.
So I'm just saying that there's so many outside candidates. There's so much outside interest and motif and musing. There's so many people that are excited about outside candidates that I can't see why Bernie's not going to continue to ride that wave that is led by the Republicans. The Republicans are creating such a wave with their outside candidates that I think that the Dems are going to pick up some of that, as opposed to hang out in presumptive candidates.
If they don't, then they may have missed an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So speaking of those Republicans who are outside, Carly Fiorina, is now in second place. She has overtaken Ben Carson with the strong showing at the second of the Republican debates, and she is now in second place. Thoughts?
I got a thought.
Mm-hmm.
Are the Republicans racing to get the first female president? Because they have had different women on the ticket for the past couple races, and the Democrats have only had Hillary, and we've seen a push, and the Democrats did get the first black president. Not that I don't know. It seems like some accolade that they're going to push.
Not that the Republicans didn't have an electable candidate in Herman Cain.
Crickets.
Yeah, well, okay. So, but my point is that I think that the Republican establishment is trying to ensure that there is a gambit of individuals on the political ticket for people to be able to select from, so that they cannot be crucified for being the white suburbanite party. Yeah, and reaching out and putting on a Ted Cruz that is Latin, or a Jeb Bush who has a Mexican wife, putting on Carly Fiorina who has, the woman card, and the powerful woman that didn't make her power in politics but made her power in the real world, putting on the Ben Carson, who is a smart guy and very personable, really likable guy. He's not a politician by any stretch, but he's a very likable, very humble individual.
Yeah, that's the question. Do we want politicians in office, or do we want people, new blood that can toss things up?
Do you want my answer?
Of course.
Okay, my answer is never hire an establishment candidate for doing the job unless you are perfectly happy with the way that everything is. And I am not personally perfectly happy with the way that everything is. I would like to see, it may not turn out better when you try a non-establishment candidate, but it will turn out different. And different gets closer to right than the same is. Because if you get an establishment candidate, a Jeb Bush of the world, you're going to end up exactly where you were before.
If anything, different makes you think about what it is you really want. And instead of just following it, that's the Republican ticket guy, let me just click on that, or I'm just
that's
a Democrat. Right. It gets you a little bit more involved. It's like, whoa, wait, why is Trump a candidate? And then you start looking and you investigate.
That's right.
I think it's a good thing for democracy. I think it's a good thing for the election. Now, come back to me once we figured out who's being elected, and I'll give you a whole nother viewpoint.
Yeah, but the thing is that is it not more important to have a leader than it is to have a status quo maintainer, right? That's one of the reasons that Barack Obama got elected, because people felt like they wanted to follow him. And specifically, lots and lots of African Americans throughout the country got excited about somebody who was smart, eloquent, and not ashamed to be black up there on the stage and did his thing. It wasn't that he didn't carry around the race card either. He didn't walk around going, well, I'm doing this because I'm black. He went around and said, I just think I'm the best guy to do this. Yeah, I'm black, that's fine, but that's not the reason that I'm up here. So it wasn't the Jesse Jackson of the world where they were, pushing the race down everybody's throat, and it wasn't the acting as if they were a white guy. He was owning what he was and doing it. And I think that authenticity is lost in most politicians, specifically establishment candidates, right? When what's his name from the Olympics from Massachusetts last time? God, his name escapes me. The guy who ran for Republican, Republican candidate that ran the Olympics and was from Massachusetts. God, why is my brain farting on me right now? But when he ran, he didn't.
Mitt Romney?
Mitt Romney did not exude any personality on the office. He was just mush. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He just didn't have anything that made people fired up to go and vote for him. And so it stands perfectly to reason that you wouldn't have people out there stumping and people out there excited about it.
God damn, in addition to freaking calling up people's lives and calling in bombs and stuff, the president has to be a mascot?
No, well, yes, because that's really what his job is. He has two jobs. He has two jobs. Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces and frickin' cheerleader for whatever it is that he or she wants to get done.
Indeed.
Right? Because really you are a in-name-only leader of the country. You don't write the laws. You don't dictate their execution by the courts. Typically, your point is to make certain decisions and be a bit of an executive. Be somebody who leads others who do all that work to do the thing. And so, therefore, to me, that's why I've always felt like senators and such are not as good of presidents as executives are, the governors and people who've been in business. So I generally speak higher of people who have been in some sort of executive status.
I always appreciate this show because there are times where, like, originally I would have said, no way, business people, that's all they're only after the bottom line. But you make a very valid point that business people are going to know how to rally the troops, much like a military person can rally the troops.
But a military person who used to be a general has a captive audience, right? Somebody who's in business, every single one of those people can quit.
That's
true.
And
that's much more like our political system because most of those people can just, I'm out of here. Peace. Chicken grease. I'm out.
That's so true.
And in the military, you don't have that option. You follow your leader or you die, right? You may not follow him as fervently, but you follow him.
Sure. So if your leader's got like peacock feathers and is really strutting his stuff, then you're gonna want to follow and watch that leader more.
That's right. And speaking of executive decisions, so Donald Trump, in one of his stump speeches in the last week or so, was confronted with his first question. He made an opening statement, and then he said, let's go to questions. And the first person that spoke on the mic basically said, our problem in this country is Muslims. And we all know that our president right now is a Muslim. What are you going to do about Muslims? Right? And then Donald Trump did not take the opportunity, as many other political figures have, to correct this individual and go, well, you know, our president is a patriot and he is a U.S. citizen and he's not a Muslim and this kind of thing.
Because Trump believes what that guy says.
That is the implication that is in the news. But he just basically said, we're going to do a lot of things, and we're going to look at a lot of things about this Muslim problem. I understand that there's a problem there, and we'll look at a lot of these things.
I think Trump has actually said that he needs to see Barack Obama's birth certificate.
He was the one who got Barack Obama to show his long-form birth certificate.
Right.
This was before he ran for president. He was pushing hard for that. And Barack Obama did produce his long-form birth certificate.
Right.
But again, he was the president of the United States at that time. And so how hard would it be for the president of the United States to get a government piece of paper produced? Right? How hard would that have been? If he's the most powerful man in the country. Regardless of whether it's true or not. It wouldn't be that difficult to make that happen.
It wouldn't be that difficult to make that happen. I will concede that point.
I don't think that Barack Obama is not a citizen, and all this is some evil plot by the Muslims to run our country, et cetera, because he's been there too long, doing too much of the same stuff that every other political guy has done. We don't see any results of him being that. So I can't believe that there is some conspiracy going on there. But
so Trump gets a caller in. The caller says, "What are you going to do about Muslims?" Trump says, "That's a big issue. I've got some things to say." And what does he say he wants to do about Muslims?
No, he said he avoided the question. He basically said, "Well, there's a lot of things out there that we need to look at, and when I become president, we'll be looking at a lot of things to take care of the Muslim issue."
to take care. Wait, no, he didn't say the Muslim issue. I'm sure he didn't say the Muslim issue.
Yeah. Well, I think he said that.
That issue. Okay.
Yeah. So. Okay. Well, we'll be looking at a lot of things on that. We'll be looking into a lot of different things, and that's pretty much all he said. He just kind of gave it lip service. But he did not. The specific is that he did not set the record straight on Barack Obama. Do you think that he has a responsibility as a presidential candidate to set the record straight when someone says something that is a little bit of not traitor, but somebody is saying something bad against the President of the United States?
No.
You don't think he has any responsibility to do that?
No.
The news media seems to think he does.
Which news media?
Most of the news media is
Fox
fairly
included?
Fox isn't as much, but many writers are crucifying Trump. For
not sticking up for the president.
Not saying, look, man, yeah, regardless of what your thing is, this is a presidential race, and I'm here to tell you how I would be a good president. Let's not harp on whether or not he is a Muslim is not really the question that you want to ask.
No, and that was just part of the question. The other part of the question is, what are we going to do with Muslims in the world? Or, excuse me, not in the world, in the United States.
Right.
And yes, he could have. I don't know if he had said he wouldn't. You can't force somebody to defend somebody when they don't actually believe in what they're saying.
Right.
So even if he did defend him, I wouldn't believe him. I'd say you're a freaking liar. Here's all the evidence, and then all of the media people would have been on his ass saying, "Here's the evidence showing that you would believe differently." So yeah, I think to his credit, he held his position. Trump does not typically waver. He's not the type of wavering kind of person. So
right. And he really doesn't give a damn about what anybody thinks.
No,
which is where his power comes from.
That's quite American, by the way.
It is, and that's why people are saying that that Trump resonates so much is because he has this American exceptionalism that he just exudes. He sweats out American exceptionalism.
Right.
And there has been a long time where we have been waiting for that American exceptionalism to just ooze from every orifice.
Yes. And I think Obama had some American exceptionalism.
Did he?
Yes, he was exceptional. Yeah, if you're just going to use the word exceptional.
But in his geopolitics, he didn't say, you people just need to understand that we are the power in the world. Where Donald Trump would say exactly that, right?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
In his geopolitics, Obama was very apologetic and very he's just trying to work with people instead of imposing upon, which is a very American exceptionalist concept. Yeah. He was very much working with.
Yeah, if you're going to use the word in a the negative light in trying to find, because some people think Americans are exceptional.
Yeah, but I think most people are exceptional in some regard.
Agreed.
It's just what you're exceptional at.
What you're exceptional at, yes. And Trump is exceptional at putting his putting his foot in his mouth, and spending
and having
money.
That weird lip thing when he takes a picture.
Oh, did you see all the GIFs, the animated GIFs of all the faces of the Republican Party?
So hilarious.
It was so fun. It was awesome.
Speaking, in the debates, that's where you got all those GIFs from. Nancy Pelosi is stumping right now, saying that the Democrats need to run hard towards having more debates because effectively they're not in the news. The Republicans are on top of CNN, on top of Fox News, on top of all of the news stations every single day because they're having these debates and they're having so much noise going on, which really means that the American concept of what's important in politics is being the entire the entire narrative is being dictated by the Republicans. And Nancy Pelosi understands that and is trying to see what she can do about getting the Dems to have more debates. Thoughts?
Nancy Pelosi has a PR cap in her back pocket. Look at her. She's right. She is so right. If they're not in the news, you're going to be forgotten. And if you're not in the news right now, then all the Democrats are watching the Republicans going, well, that's what am I supposed to be doing about this? I just get angry about it, and there's no one for me to then push my support onto.
That's right. That's right.
So yeah, I 100%, 110% agree with her. Let's get some Democratic debates, but I have a feeling they won't do that until if and when Biden chooses to run. I think that there has to be a wait. I think it's a polite waiting period, because then if Biden chooses to run, then obviously everything gets pushed into his corner.
Got it. All right, on to the next. What is this yours?
Yes, this is mine.
Okay.
So Neil deGrasse Tyson, our favorite
scientist extraordinaire,
exactly, has a show that he does. I think it's called Star Talk, and he had Edward Snowden on the show from Russia, with love. And Snowden said some interesting things, mostly that he thinks that the aliens that are out there will never notice us.
Why is that?
If our technology is sufficiently sophisticated. So basically, I'm reading a little bit more, because that was enough for me to just go, really? Okay, aliens. Okay, all right. So my question to the group here, which I'll ask again maybe some other time as well, do you believe in aliens?
Statistically, yes.
I like that answer.
Sentiently, it's hard.
It's hard. I haven't seen a planet that can hold life.
Well, but statistically that exists, right?
Yeah.
So little green men coming to our planet and you know, anally probing us and whatever just doesn't seem like it's a thing, right?
Right.
But the concept that the energy from a ball of fusion, such as our sun, being cultivated in a naturally occurring place that organisms could exist is highly likely to me. It's statistically almost an assured thing.
So,
statistically speaking, it's almost a definitive.
Using that statistical mojo,
right?
Do you suppose that maybe they would be more advanced than us or less advanced?
Well, you're saying they as if there is a sentient being there, right? So the sentiency is the part that I really have this concept of, well, did that ever happen, right? The whole concept of I think, therefore I am.
Sure.
Somebody being able to create this creative world and to create things that they didn't get. And I guess it's not really stumbling upon things, but creating this concept. And that goes back to the whole concept of why humans are so special. And to me, humans are so special because of one big major thing. And the big major thing that made humans... did I lose you? Am I frozen? I don't know if I'm frozen. Michelle's frozen. Okay, it looks like I'm still on. I'm just going to assume that Michelle is frozen for a minute. But the thing that makes humans so special is the amount of brain that they are able to have. The amount of brain that they're able to have is directly proportional to the fact that we can cook our food. So the concept of taking raw foods and preparing them with heat, and that magic is what makes the human animal possible. And that...
I like to...
Go ahead.
Sorry, so I like to call it the invention of the plow.
The invention of the plow. Why the invention? I don't think it's the invention of the plow.
Oh, I think it is. Oh, because it's where we got to mass produce our food. Otherwise, we had to produce our food in smaller quantities.
But we wouldn't be the animal we are with the brain size that we have unless we cooked our food. That's where we were able to make a physiological change. The whole concept of society did not exist until the plow.
Okay, there we go. Yes.
Society did not exist before the plow, but the human animal did not exist before we cooked food.
Got it.
So cooked food created humans, and somebody who can have so much energy utilized by our brain. Our brain runs through huge amounts of energy versus what the animal kingdom is, right?
True.
So I think they say that a gorilla eats 8 hours a day to provide for his brain and body's energy needs. It takes 8 hours out of his day to eat. How many hours out of your day are spent collecting and consuming food? Maybe a half hour? An hour?
An hour.
Right. And if you were out of time and you just had to get quick sustenance, right?
That's minutes, seconds, yeah.
It's really 5 minutes a day, and you could probably sustain yourself.
Wow, that makes so much sense.
That's where our free time came from, and our free time gave us the opportunity to think about things. Therefore, we can build a shelter, and then our animal doesn't have to have fur on it. Then we can think about putting clothes on so we don't have to have those that fur or whatever that we do. We're able to get to these higher concepts, come up with a plow because we were able to cook our food, and it takes us that little time to get that much caloric intake into our bodies. Right?
I agree. Yeah, this is fascinating. Always fascinating.
Always fascinating. So speaking of one other thing that is fairly fascinating, I will actually have to listen to this Neil deGrasse Tyson with whistleblower Ed Snowden, because that sounds awesome.
Yeah, right?
But the things you should not Google. This week, the thing that you should not Google is...
I always Google it when you do this.
Google location history. If you carry a Google phone or you have Google Maps enabled on your phone, right now Google has a website, https://maps.google.com/location history, that shows you if you're logged into your Google account, it shows you where you are every single day. When you went there, what you did. If you're backing up your photos to Google Plus Photos, it puts the geolocation on there in order of when you went there, when you picked the picture, etc., etc. Which, if you are okay with Big Brother, it's brilliant. It's wonderful. You can know exactly when you are, where you are, when you went there, etc., etc. If you want to track down what restaurant you went to last Thursday, you could do it.
Well, I'm not okay with Big Brother, but I'm okay with my the control I have to be able to shut my phone off should I not want to be located. Turn my maps off. Should I not want to be located? I'm okay with it. I'm not okay with Big Brother, but I'm one of those people I'm okay with it. Sure, show me my Google history.
To me, it's like a smoking sign at a restaurant. If you walk into a restaurant and there's a sign out front that says, "We allow smoking in this establishment," you now get to make a choice as to whether or not you want to patronize that establishment.
Yes.
And if Google puts a sign on the front of their stuff that says, "We track your location. If you want to turn it off, here it is."
Right.
And as long as they're honest about what they're doing and it's stateful about what it is, then I think that what they're doing is just fine.
I would agree. Yeah, the honesty, being open, all of that. To me, it part of what you lose in your security in this case, let's say, ostensibly, you're gonna hopefully gain in what applications and information and things Google will give to you.
Right, but the other point is that I want to know, this to me is my information that's stored at somebody else's site, right? And I want to know if someone in the government or whatever is subpoenaing this information.
But that's not Google's responsibility.
Well, I think that it's the government's responsibility if they subpoena my particular information to notify me that my information has been grabbed.
That has not ever been the case.
I understand it has not been the case. I still believe it.
I believe in your belief of it, and yeah, I would agree. I think it's only fair.
They have a responsibility that
Yeah.
if they came into your house and looked through your papers,
You'd have to let them in the door.
then you'd have to let them in the door, or you'd know whenever they were in there, right?
Right.
If they came in, snuck in, and looked through all of your papers, I think that that's morally wrong.
I agree. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And do they have the subpoena power to be able to go and look through your stuff? Yeah, okay, fine. I understand for a society to work, you kind of have to do that. It's a necessary evil, but part of that necessary evil is to let people know about it.
There's checks and balances to these
That's right.
necessary evils.
That's right. And I also believe that you should be able to encrypt that information, a la Mega Upload, that there is no key that Google keeps. You are the only one with the key.
Yeah. I like
And
that.
then the government can't get it without coming to you for the key.
Right. Right. Now, what happens in those cases where they are seeking out terrorism and stuff like that? Does that...
I mean, a search and seizure, if they were looking for Bugsy Malone, yeah, they could tail him, but if they wanted to look through his letters, right, and find out what it is that he's doing and when he's doing them, then the responsibility is that they let him know that they're going through his papers. And any other search and seizure that's not done with full knowledge of who they're taking it from is an illegal search.
Yes.
And I would love to see a court case that was brought to the Supreme Court that says this was illegal search and seizure because it was not notified to that person that they were searching for that information.
Oh, yeah. But if they've got a court order, they don't have to notify. Like, that's traditional, right?
Well, with paper records, they used to have to let you know because they'd physically have to ask you for it.
Right.
And in electronic format, they created this concept based on the telephone code, because back in the day they were able to snoop on telephones, and they got away with doing that because it was on the publicly switched telephone network.
You got it.
Right?
It's publicly held, government held, so they can control and monitor. Yep.
And my concept would be that anything you do in the public that is unencrypted should be treated under that rule. And anything that you do in the public realm encrypted would be like you driving your car on public roads. They have the ability to see your car, see your license tag when you're driving on public roads, so they can know when you're where.
Sure.
But they cannot search inside your car. So your packets should be like your car.
Oh.
If it's encrypted, if it's closed and you have a windows shut, they're not able to look inside and search through your trunk for stuff.
Right.
But they can look at the fact that you had traffic going to and from.
I mean, that should be enough in some cases for what they need. And if there's anything else, it shouldn't be. I feel like the main evidence that's being used these days is this evidence that's being captured and stolen and grabbed to support subpoenas and further actions.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we allow this, it's just it's a erosion of natural rights that people have to protect themselves and their privacy. But we're not a privacy-driven country.
As much as we should be, you're right.
As much as other countries, as much as France, as much as
Germany.
Britain. Yep. Yeah, all of them are much more privacy-driven than we are. Although we like to say we are. That's an interesting comment. I will definitely not Google
wink wink
my history. Yeah.
All right, so there we go. We have shared things that you did not know. We have shared things that you probably did know. We have espoused our concepts. We have told you what we think, but you don't have to think like me.
Oh, you don't have to think like me.
But we ask that you think.
Always. See you guys next week.
So long.